Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is today's project. Now this is a card that folds flat to go into an envelope, but when you pull on this tab here, the shapes in the front pop up. And if you want to know how I made it, stay with me and I will show you. These are the supplies that I'm using today. This is Peekaboo Peach and it's 4 inches by 7.5. And this is another piece which is 3 7/8 by 5.5. This piece is 2.5 inches by 5.25, and I've got 3 tiny little pieces here. This one is 3 inches by 1 inch, and these two pieces are 3/4 of an inch by, let me just check, 2.5. So those are my bits of Peekaboo Peach. I'm going to be using a piece of DSP from the Cupcakes and Carousels set. That's easy for you to say, and that has been cut to 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. I've got some pieces of card that I'm going to be stamping on, and I've got some Peekaboo Peach, Calypso Coral and So Saffron. I'm using the Early Espresso ink and the Carousel Birthday stamps. I'm going to begin by doing some scoring, and I'm going to score my largest piece of card at 2.5 inches. I'm going to put that to one side. The two pieces 2.5 inches by 5.25. I'm going to score it at 3/8 of an inch and 1/2 inch. I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to do the same at the other side. So 3/8 of an inch and 1/2 inch. Okay. And my small pieces, the one that is 1 inch wide, I am going to score at 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to turn it round and score at 1/2 inch. And again 1/2 inch. Right. And the two small pieces that are 2.5 by 3.25 are going to get scored at 3/4 of an inch and at 1, 2, 3, 1.5 inches. That's right. And again 3/4 of an inch and 1.5. I'm going to work on the reverse part of the largest piece of Peekaboo Peach, and I'm going to cut some guidelines to cut some slits. So first of all, I'm going to measure 1/2 inch in from each side, and I'm just going to draw a guideline. Now from the lower edge of the card here, I'm going to measure up 3/4 of an inch and draw a line. And then I'm going to measure up from that line that I've just drawn another 3/4 of an inch and draw a line. And take my craft knife and I'm going to cut along those lines that I've just drawn, and I'm going to create a slot. So start there and work my way down, and I'm just going to move the ruler just a fraction of an inch, hardly anything at all, and do the same again. Okay, so I have just a little slit. I've gone and done some preparation ahead of time in the interest of keeping this video as short as possible, and I just stamped the big wheel onto a piece of Peekaboo Peach and also onto a piece of Calypso Coral, and I did some fussy cutting out of the Calypso Coral card, so that is ready to go. And I also put this stamp onto a piece of So Saffron. So that will be ready to go, but I've got a couple of other bits of stamping that I want to do. Now, this is going to be the backing card, and I want to stamp this sentiment. I love it when your birthday comes around. And I'm trying to not get my head in the shot. Going to stamp that as centrally as I can. Now, if you've got something like a Misty or some sort of stamp positioner, you might find that helpful at this point. But that's not too bad a job. I'm quite happy with that. So I shall put that on one side, and this is going to be the piece that that you use to pull the sentiment through, the flap through. Sorry, and my stamp's making a bid for freedom off the block there. So let's just make sure that's well pressed down. And I'm just going to just stamp that little flourish at the bottom edge of the card there. Okay, so when you pull the flap, you will see that, and then you can write your message on that little piece of card there. This little piece here, the 1 inch by 3 inch strip that we scored and folded at 1/2 inch all round, that is going to be the strut that makes the action happen. So it needs to be quite strong, and because of that, we're going to fold it onto itself and stick it down. I'm just going to cut these pieces off at this end. Okay, just so that we don't have too much bulk in the parts where it's actually going to stick to the card. But this piece in the centre, that needs to be doubled, and that will make it very strong, and so it won't collapse on itself when the card is pulled. And usually with an action card, people like to play with them. It's kind of the point. So you want to make any moving parts as strong as you possibly can. All right, so we'll do that now, and we'll put that on one side to glue up. And now I'm going to stick this onto the, so that everything's got. Now I'm going to stick the strut piece onto the pull tab. Just applying a little spot of glue, making sure my folds will fold nicely, and I'm getting this as centered as I can and lining it up with the top edge of that piece of card. Okay. I'm going to set this piece aside so that the adhesive has plenty of time to set. Just like that. I'm ready now to start putting it all together. So I've gone ahead and I've put the DSP onto the back panel, so that's ready to do. And I've done my fussy cutting, and I have my pieces these are going to be the bits that help the panels in the front here pop up. Now before I stick anything else down, I'm going to do some careful positioning because I want to make sure that everything, the struts are where they should be and that they don't show when I don't want them to. So first of all, I've trimmed this piece of card so that I've got 1.5 inches below where it ends, and I've scored and folded it at the 3/4 of an inch mark because there's 3/4 of an inch between each of these panels. So if I put that in place, that kind of works to where I want it to be. Now I'm taking one of my my pop-up pieces and I'm folding it so that the top piece is folded over, and I'm just going to put that behind the card, behind the panel, so that I can't see it when it's closed. All right. So, and again, liquid adhesive because I don't want this showing. Sorry, I don't want this coming apart when it's being played with, and people will play with it, believe me. Okay, so when my card is closed, that's hidden out of the way. All right, now this piece, I've already done some fussy cutting on it, but I haven't trimmed off the lower part of it yet because I want to make sure that this is in the right place when everything pops up. So, okay, so same thing again, and I'm just going to get my pencil. And I'm going to make a mark because that's where I'm going to put my fold. So when my card pops up, everything will be in the right place. I've scored and folded on that line that I drew, and I've trimmed off that edge so that it doesn't stick out when the panel is in place. And I've also gone ahead and put one of my folded strips onto the back. So we can now start beginning to put this together. So I'm starting with the back panel, bit of liquid adhesive, and I'm going to try and center that as far as I possibly can onto my base, just like that. Okay, so that's fairly centered. And now this piece. Now I'm going to put the adhesive along the edge and down the sides, but I'm going to leave that middle piece free because I'm going to want to trim that away. So again, so I'm going to line this up so that it's in the right place. And I'm going to cut back with my 1-inch circle punch, and just as I did on the piece of Peekaboo Peach that's the front panel, I'm just going to line that up with where I snip that piece out and snip that out as well. Okay. So now I'm going to put some adhesive on that flap, fold it over and press it down onto the card backer, just like that. And the same thing on this one. So this is how the card will look in the flattened position. All right, so this is how it will appear. I'm going to turn that over, give it a good press, and while it's doing that, I'm going to bring in my backer piece. Now this is going to be the bit that holds the pull tab in place, and when I gave you the measurements, the measurements are right, but the folding measurements are wrong. It should be scored at 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch. All right. not 3/8 of an inch and 1/2 an inch as I said. Because when I did a trial run and I put it together, I thought, why is all of that, you know, why is it too big? Why won't it fit? And I'm just squishing that into place here. Okay. Right. One last thing left to do, and that is to put the panel. Last thing to do is to put the pull tab in place. So that slides through the pocket that I created on the back of the card, just like that. And I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive onto the panel there. And I'm going to be very careful with this because I don't want that adhesive sticking down until I'm ready for it. So I'm holding the two pieces apart as I feed the pull tab through. And when it's in just about the right place now, I'm going to press that down. And I'm going to leave that to have plenty of time for the adhesive to set. That's a good long time for the adhesive to set, and while it was drying I decided that this panel at the front was just a little bit too plain, so I took 3 of the enamel hearts from the Subtles enamel shapes, and these are the Calypso Coral ones, and 1 of the ones in So Saffron, and I just put them in there just to, you know, just to fill in that space a bit. So this should now be ready to go. So are you with me? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, pull, and up it pops. Just want to say a couple of things. This piece at the back here is the bit that makes the that makes it all stand up. Can you see that? And if that isn't strong enough, or it gets creases in it, then it may prevent the pop-up from happening. So if that happens, just cut a 1/2 inch wide strip of card and just stick it on the top, and that will need to be about 2 inches, so 1/2 inch by 2 inch, and just stick that on top of it and let it set well before you try anything. All right, and that should sort it out. And one more other thing, I was finding this tab was difficult to get a hold of, so I went back with the circle punch and I just cut another 1/2 circle out of the back of that as well. That would have been easier if I'd done that before I stuck it down, so you might want to bear that in mind. But that is it for today, and I do hope that you've enjoyed this project, and I hope that you're going to give it a go. And if you have enjoyed it, then please don't forget to like, subscribe and to share my videos. Leave me a comment below, I'd love to know what you think, or hop on over to my Facebook page, details are below the video, and leave me a picture of what you've been up to. I'd really like to see it. But for now, thank you very, very much for joining me, and I hope that I will see you again soon. Bye bye.